I should probably delete
Yes,
that.
we caught that. Yeah.
That's going to be the opening of the podcast.
no. Hello and welcome to the Nerd Age podcast. This is the show where we talk about everything nerdy. My name is Mick. With me, as always, are my co-hosts Josh,
What's up?
Corey,
Hello.
and Jonah.
Hey-o.
Heyo, indeed. Welcome to the show, guys. If you like what you see here, consider liking, subscribing to the channel, sharing it with your friends, and help us grow this channel so more of you, fellow nerds out there, can see what we do here. On today's episode, we're going to jump right into some Flash. We're going to do some non-spoiler talk, then go into spoiler talk. And I believe all of us here have seen the movie, so
Yes, sir.
who
I
wants-
went
who
back
wants
in
to
time
kick
and
it
watched it again.
with your
Dang.
past self.
That's
right.
crazy.
Both of us. We had a blast.
Wow. Yeah.
I guess I'm just going to start.
Well, we're not spoiling.
We're not, non-spoiler
Yeah, no
first.
spoilers, yeah.
But,
So you're gonna start with one good thing about it.
Just one.
You have to.
Batfleck. It was
Okay,
great to
seeing him
see
again, sure.
Ben Affleck, the best Batman
Oh.
in the history of Batman.
Well.
I thought the action scene at the beginning was great. And I thought he was good. I thought his dialogue was good. So yeah, I enjoyed him. I thought there were emotional parts in the movie that were well done. They hit. They landed well. The acting was good. Ezra Miller in those scenes specifically was good. I thought the actress who played his mom did the scenes very well. So there's good things in this movie, but I didn't enjoy it very much. It's going to be a low score for me when we get to the scoring part. Spoiler alert. But so there are
What?
some good things.
But it was supposed to be the best of the year.
It's
You tell me
Here's-
Tom Cruise lied to me?
Well,
Tom Cruise lied to you, and I'll let you guys talk next. But
and James Gunn. He never lies.
the CGI in this movie is absolutely atrocious.
Well,
But they meant to do it, they said.
They said they meant to do it, but it still doesn't negate the fact that it looks terrible. It looks like a 90s movie in a lot of these things. So it's
Like
so
a
just
PS2
it's so
cutscene or
it's
something.
really bad. It's like Scorpion King. It's really distracting and it pulls you out of the movie.
Very uncanny
I'm
valley.
not normally the guy that's gonna get annoyed with like CGI. I'm gonna be like, it's CGI, it's fine, I can live with it. This pulls you out of the movie every time when there's two Flashes, two Ezra Millers, and you're like, that one's definitely fake. It just you start counting those things and it pulls you out of the movie. So Michael Keaton I thought was good. Sasha Cale as Supergirl were good. They're not in it very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, meh.
Okay, Josh, what did you think? One good thing.
one good thing.
Yeah.
Jonah's right. The emotional stuff is the best part of it. I also liked the Batman part of the opening scene. The Flash part I did not like. I thought, I think honestly that's the best part of this movie is they should have leaned into the emotional story.
Yeah.
Like this movie was originally supposed to come out in 2018. They changed directors a billion times. They rewrote it a billion times. But you have the perfect story for Barry Allen. It's an emotional story. It's a great story. And to somehow mess that up is what makes me the most upset. Like, I was looking forward to this. And what's there of that story is good. But everything else that's with it is, it's like whatever to me. It just completely like undermined the arc that they were building for their character. But yeah, I mean, I think Ezra Miller is really good in those emotional scenes. I don't think he's that great in the other. I guess he didn't have much to work with, I would say. But yeah, I like seeing Michael Keaton back. I thought he was cool. Supergirl's really cool. I really enjoyed her character. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay.
As far as, positives.
Yeah.
We'll get into it on the spoilers,
Yeah, for sure.
For me.
We don't know. We haven't heard.
We haven't heard.
Yeah,
We
drum
watched this
roll.
together.
So did you all watch it together?
We all watched
Yeah,
it
we did.
together.
Nice. Okay. I'm in the camp of you guys as well. It's more on the negative side for me. The lows of the movie definitely in my opinion, outweighed the highs of the movie because there weren't many. But I do agree. I think the highs were definitely the emotional scenes and just basically the story that Barry Allen is going through. And to me, they just didn't lean into it enough. All the other comedic crap around the story just, to me, kind of watered it down a little bit. So I would have liked more Zack Snyder Flash stuff than the Justice League Flash stuff, because he definitely felt more from the Justice League.
100%. Because that's technically what
I guess it's
what they'd be
technically,
working off
yeah.
of. And
Well, no, because they specifically reference things that happen in.
They reference Zack Snyder's Justice League that he went back in time,
have they made a
and that didn't
comment
happen in
on-
Justice League.
did they make a comment ever on which one's technically canon, or are they both canon?
The last thing I had heard is they said that the Justice League one was canon, but that was probably from however many iterations
3 regimes
ago.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
but it's obviously messed up. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I know.
But yeah, you're right.
I
They
know
did
this
reference the Zack
director.
Snyder.
This director was using it as Zack Snyder's Justice League was the canon.
For the
and
main
they make
story,
and they
right?
make comments
Yeah.
that only refer to. Also, Iris West is in it, which
Yes.
she was not in the
Right.
Justice
And she
League,
says,
but
"Oh, we
she
met."
was.
Yep.
Yes, and
But
there's a
direct-
scene with the hot dogs in
You
Zack
moved a
Snyder's
hot
Justice
dog.
League.
But
Away
as far
from
as
his face.
director and direction of like coaching on how to deliver things and how to act, and
He definitely felt more like
It
a
felt more like
version.
Justice.
Yeah. So that was disappointing because I thought Barry Allen was awesome in the Zack Snyder's Justice League. So that was disappointing. But yeah, you're right. There were very shoddy visual effects, even if they were done on purpose for like a storytelling element. It didn't. I think that's a bad choice.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't clear what they were doing. And to me, it just was like, I'm just looking at a terrible shot right now over and over again. But yeah, the highs definitely, I really liked the Supergirl character, Kara. I'm just sad that she wasn't in it that much. As far as Michael Keaton, I've never been a huge Michael Keaton Batman fan. I thought he was fine. Like, I don't think that he brought anything like really special to it. If you've seen or read the comic Flashpoint, which this movie is heavily based off of, they've changed some things in this movie away from that comic, but I think the comic did a lot better job at giving some resolution to Batman and Flash, and to me there was just not that like emotional impact on Batman as well, which is weird because this was like the last outing for Ben Affleck as Batman. And to me, it just, we can get more into spoilers about it, but to me, it was just like, oh, I guess he's done. Like there was no like kind of fanfare, like anything like that. So that was a little weird for me, but yeah, I actually thought the music was pretty good. It sounded like more what we got in Zack Snyder's Justice League with scenes of Flash. So that kind of stuck out to me, but yeah, I thought it was too long. It definitely dragged on for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little down on it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of tough because, you know, when you're
Say something nice about it first.
One thing.
a lot of people said this was going to be the best movie or superhero movie of the year. They were right. They're about part of it. It was a superhero movie.
and it came out this year.
And it did come out this year. Yeah, that's a good point.
They were so close.
I didn't, you know, when they actually had good CGI, it was actually good. But I will be honest, it was like 5% of all CGI that they did was really good. So like some of the cool stuff with Kara, Supergirl, that looked really clean. And there are some other things here and there, but it was super rare. You could tell that the potential was there. But when they talk about, oh, you know, we made the CGI purposefully bad, I don't believe that 100% because, or I don't believe it at all because it wasn't just in the circumstance that they're talking about.
Right.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but They said it was during a certain time frame or situation. There was terrible CGI all over the place, and it was hard to look at. It was very difficult for me to take seriously. At one point, I kind of laughed a little bit, and I like looked at Brie, and she looked at me, and she's like, "What is this?" And I was like,
Yeah.
ridiculous. And it reminded me of early 2000s video game cutscenes.
Yeah.
It really did. Like when you don't have so like for instance, when you model something, right? Back in the day, they used to just paint on highlights for something. So like the rim of a glass, there'd be a highlight of light. And when you move that item, the sun should stay at the same angle, but the object should move. With this, it was not that way. It was like, it looked like it was painted on a lot of things. And so it was just embarrassing to kind of watch, because I was like, how much money do they have? How long have they been working on this? Like it was just weird. And then a lot of the joke stuff that kind of went through is also kind of rough. So, we'll talk about more of specific scenes and stuff like that. But generally, who would I recommend this to? I mean, someone who doesn't care about CGI. I think if someone's able to buy in to whatever these guys are slinging, cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could be like you and love it, but it was hard. I just can't.
Well, Crystal doesn't care about CGI. Like she's always like, whatever. But she was like, it bothered me. Like the way they looked, it like bothered her.
Yeah.
And she normally doesn't even care about it. She doesn't even notice that
bad.
usually.
It's bad.
I'm super picky about it. So it was
Yeah.
hard.
I'm not that picky. Like a perfect example
I'm
is
picky.
in The Mandalorian season 2 when Luke comes in.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, a lot of people were like, oh, it looked weird. And I was like, it looked weird, but I didn't care because I can look past it knowing, hey, it's
wasn't
CGI.
that
But this was like, it's bad. Let's just give our ratings
let's
so
just
that
do
we can go
ratings.
into
Yep.
if
ahead,
you guys
buddy.
want to go watch it, if you haven't seen
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
might
but
want to see.
don't.
But
I'm not.
I have
no one
heard,
here is going to recommend it.
I have heard good reviews out there, so it's
Yeah, there are
that's-
people that
it's
like it.
definitely
people
up
that like
in the
it.
air if you
So
like it or not.
You might like.
We just happen to be right
Yeah.
about this.
yeah, but if their things align with us, like their preferences,
Yeah, but if they don't,
I'm not going to recommend it.
well, I'm not.
There's
I'm
no
just
way.
saying.
You're
I'm
not
just saying.
getting a recommendation
I'm
on
gonna
this
seal approval.
podcast.
I'm gonna
Nerd
say.
Age- Nerd
I'm
Age
gonna
recommended.
say.
Endorse it.
I'm gonna say what I'll say about everything. Film is subjective, and so
For sure,
some people love stuff. And okay,
Yeah.
my rating for this.
Blah blah blah.
It started when I first watched it. It started at a certain number, and the more I think about it, it's gotten lower and lower.
All right,
Wow.
final.
So I'm giving it a, and me being a big DC fan, this hurts, but this is a 4.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
4 out of 10.
Whoa,
Okay.
whoa.
All right, Josh.
It's a 5.2.
Okay, so there was slight enjoyment.
There were some things that I enjoyed. There were some things that I didn't like, but I'm not like, I hate this movie.
Right.
I can't believe they did this. I'm just like, it's a loss. It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm never going to watch it again.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
No steelbook for me, baby.
Mick.
What if it looks really cool? Really?
Yeah. What if it's
What if it's
Batfleck
Ben
on it?
Affleck? Yeah, on the front.
Not gonna happen. What's your score?
I would give it. What'd you say? 5.2.
Yeah.
Man, I'd give it a 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be just like, yeah. I mean, I think it's in the 4s. It's like 4.4 or 4.5.
Yeah.
We'll say 4.5.
I'm going to change my answer. It's a 3.
I mean, it could be the highest one. That's the thing, right? Like, Suicide Squad, I gave like a 3, and I hated that movie. So it's like it takes a lot to get under a 3.
Yeah.
So 4 is like there's some things. The main story with the family is good, but yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
That's it for the non-spoilers. So if you guys don't want it spoiled, you guys can skip this part or whatever. But let's get into the spoiler part and let's talk about some interesting choices.
So I'll start with a positive first.
Oh,
'Cause,
another
yeah,
positive.
I've got a positive here.
Okay.
I thought there was one thing that worked.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
that
know what
was
you're gonna say.
the Back to the Future Michael J. Fox
Eric
joke.
Stoltz.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the apartment,
They had more. They went back and forth with it, where the guy had this tattoo and all that. I actually thought that worked, and then they started talking about like other movies. And it's like
Yeah.
Kevin, that's not the Kevin Bacon movie.
Oh,
That
for Footloose?
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox from Footloose and stuff
yeah.
like
So
that.
Yeah.
I thought that worked.
It was a good way to explain how it
Yeah.
worked as well, with it being funny as well.
But that again, to me, those are those were the only moments where I really laughed. Everything else just felt.
There was a
Not
lot
funny.
of awkward silences in my theater.
Yeah.
And it was pretty full too.
We had a couple people laughing.
Like jokes were just going by and it was just like,
Yeah, it was so
pretty bad.
Yeah, let's talk about the CGI because I know a lot of people
Okay.
are saying that. One person specifically that I follow on Twitter was like going after Snyder fans that are complaining about the CGI, saying like Snyder fans have forgotten about artistic integrity. When you attack someone that says this is what they intended to do, then you're just like everyone that hated Zack Snyder. I'm like, no. Artistic integrity doesn't mean you can't criticize something that sucks. It looked terrible. It looked really bad.
Specific scenes.
The
Sorry,
scenes
so let's-
when he goes into the Speed Force.
Well, let's also give him a little bit of
Right.
context.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. When Flash goes into the Speed Force.
But no, what he was saying on Twitter, the guy who.
Oh, well, Andy Muschietti said that they did it on purpose because you're in the Speed Force and the Flash is there. So everything should look more like it's a memory. It's kind of like it's
Weird.
watery. There's, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like
So
the
that's
Spy
what he
Kids.
claimed. That's why he said, oh, this is the
Yeah.
reason why.
Right.
And it's more animation than it is. So you're seeing like General Zod, you're seeing Supergirl, you're seeing Henry Cavill, and they're scenes from movies, but they're animated. It's a weird look, and it just doesn't work, and it pulls you out of the movie. The whole concept of how it looked too, where there's like just circles and all the stories of like it looked weird to me. Like it looked so small. And one of the biggest complaints I have is we can go back and compare it with Zack Snyder's Justice League when he runs back in time and how that all looks. And that looks amazing. Like every step he takes, it's like a mini explosion and the universe is expanding. And that's what they wanted to show. Like he's basically, every step is a big bang. Like the universe is being created with his step because he's moving so fast. If you go to that compared to what they gave us, it looks like one was incredible, epic, like $300 million movie. And the other one was like a Hallmark Channel movie that was like,
Whoa.
it's insane. It just looks really
They don't
bad.
have CGI in Hallmark.
And so to me, even if that's the intention, it looked bad.
Right. Well, it falls apart when you look at other scenes where he's not
That's what
in
I
the
was trying
Speed
to say.
Force and the CGI is bad. So like that might have been what they were saying that they wanted to do. But yeah, I actually like the way the Speed Force looked, like that idea of him and the ball and the sand. I thought that was cool. It was everything else. Them showing the characters and
layers
stuff,
and-
it just didn't look good. I'm like, you could have gone with something super abstract and more like we just watched Spider-Verse like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like you could have gone with something more, lean more into animation, make it more abstract. Even if he was saying watery, it didn't look watery. It just looked like bad CGI.
No.
Or even if you think about kind of the visuals on Visions too, like some of the animation on that is CGI and it's like an abstract type of idea in the Speed Force. That's what you're
They
going
could have
for.
done claymation and it would have looked
No,
better.
that would have been sick, dude.
Like
I
at least I would have been like,
down, dude.
oh, that's unique.
Honestly, some of it looked like like the guy, like
Clay
he was
models.
made out of clay,
Yeah,
but not good.
right.
Yeah, it was weird. It was wacky.
So yeah, I mean that was the biggest thing. One thing that I could not stand the beginning scene with Flash and him saving the
The
babies.
falling building,
That was
the baby.
ridiculous.
It
That was
seemed
too
so
ridiculous.
stupid.
I think here, I think I understand what they're trying to go for, right? They don't want realistic babies in that situation, so they don't want to do that.
Don't do
But they-
babies, do kids.
Yeah, even just
do
the-
toddlers.
I'm not
Do
backing
puppies.
them up. I'm just saying I think I understand
They
why
did do a puppy.
they did a dog. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they should.
And you can tell how much they loved that scene because the post credit they had the dog falling in
Right.
the whole like they were
and
really
that
into
CGI was bad too.
they were really into it, and I was just like, what a joke! They thought this was an awesome scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He thought this was hilarious or
Well,
something, and
that's-
epic. I don't know if it.
That
It's like,
scene,
what a misguided point of view. What a weird. It was so weird.
that scene was the first scene they showed when they did DC Fandom and they
okay.
announced Michael Keaton and they
that's what
had
I-
just the artist thing, right? There was a scene where it's Michael Keaton and then it's the Flash and then there was a baby falling. Like, so this was like early on something that
They loved
stayed
it.
in through
They loved it.
through it
Yeah.
all, which is weird. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think the execution was terrible.
Right.
The way it was done, and then trying to throw jokes in there too. I hate that aspect of trying to throw jokes when you have a scene going. It's like, hey, we need to cut away from this to kind of put some levity in it. So let's have him go in for the burrito in the microwave, and we'll show him eating it slowly. You know,
That
like,
happened too many times.
it was just
he
like,
went for like
what's
the
the
vending
point?
machine first.
Yes.
Then the burrito. It's
So-
like you don't have to do like so many things like that in a row.
Just have him do something cool and save people
was-
instead of being like, I need to eat, or else the same thing with the opening when the guy making the sandwich. Like, it just didn't land.
I'll say this. I think that if they would have done it in half the time, it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. It went on for so long. I was like, when is this going to end?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. The amount of time where they'd be like, cut to him and he'd be like, still shot, look over, vending machine, start stuffing mouth. That took like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Like, we understand what's going on. You're hungry. You're on low. Okay, we get that. But it's like, awesome. Do that. That's fine. Do it faster. And it's like everything was painfully slow. The babies, pushing the babies into each other, pushing things. I like that idea. Like, on paper, I like that idea. I don't like it being babies because they all look like dolls.
Right.
Yeah, that faces was bad.
But they're trying to almost make it more comedic in that way and make it not realistic.
Yeah.
Because of doing it with babies, which
Yeah.
is such a stupid idea in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying along with what you're saying is the reason I think it feels so long too is because it doesn't look good.
Well,
if it looked good, I think we would be like, oh, that was a really cool scene. But it's so obvious. You stop looking at what he's doing and you start looking at that baby looks really weird. That background looks really weird. Like that dog looks completely fake. It looks like the dog from the Mario movie.
Yeah.
Like,
And guess what? That
a
wasn't
problem.
in the Speed Force realm.
no, it wasn't.
And that's Exhibit A.
Yeah.
James Gunn or whoever, Mushinelli. What's his name?
Muschietti.
Muschietti. Pretty close.
Yeah.
Exhibit A. There's a lot of other CGI issues. When I was talking about how light hits models and stuff like that, the most atrocious example I saw was in the final battle against the Kryptonians, with the black ships landing onto the dust area, but in front of the military. Those models were so bad. I couldn't believe it. I was like, did they upload the wrong file? Like, did they not render these out correctly? Because it was terrible. There was like light shining on the wrong side. The sun's up top left, and it's on the. I was just like, no way, this is actually happening. It looked like it was green screen, which it is, right? But
Yeah.
it's like it looked like concept art.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
you know, when you get behind the scenes stuff of unfinished scenes,
yeah.
that's what it looked like. And I was like, no way, that's crazy.
And here's
Crazy.
one of the unfortunate things about the director and the Flash having to use Man of Steel as a comparison. Everyone that goes into that knows Man of Steel, right? So I love Man of Steel. The fact that Man of Steel looks 10 times better
And how long ago was it made?
10 years ago.
10 years, yeah.
It looks
That's
10 times better.
embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
And even this is a perfect example. In Man of Steel, when they get to that spot, they don't do a fighting scene there, and it's filmed there on location, right? You can tell this one was all green screen.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're just like, it doesn't even look anything close to what it does in Man of Steel. And the other thing is it's boring. Like in Man of Steel, they actually go and fight somewhere else because it's like, it's just a flat land, right?
Yeah.
They have this whole battle scene on a flat, white, blue skies,
Tan,
super bright. Everything's, it's
just sand.
it just looks goofy and bad. And so to me, that's one of those things that when you can compare things, General Zod and his mask, like it's a small thing, but it looks really good in Man of Steel. And here it just looks like, okay, that's it's all fake.
I had a problem with that. Them fighting in the desert from a story perspective too, because Supergirl shows up to, I don't know, try to do whatever.
And they're fighting and she comes back
And they're
still
fighting, and she's like, I'm going to leave. I guess these Kryptonians are bad. I should help the humans. Leaves. Wouldn't you think like the Kryptonians would like wipe out those humans?
Oh, yeah.
In that time and just be done? But they take it I mean, who knows what really the time is, but I'm assuming a good amount of time. They all come back. Barry gets his powers back. That's not going to take like 3 seconds.
They were in the Speed Force. So.
It's just, it is very weird too. Also, because they introduced this aspect of like, look at what's happening to these civilians. Like this stuff is crushing people, and he's having to save people. And then they choose to then not do it in a city or anything interesting. They do it in a place where it's very neutral and there's no interest. And it's just it's not inspired at all. It's so plain Jane. Like someone wrote up. They probably had not Chat GPT, but you know, it felt like AI almost. Like it's just super emotionless.
Yeah.
And you could tell like they tried to do it. Kind of. It's like, oh, you can't change the past. It's like, but it didn't hit hard at all. It just fell flat for me, emotion wise.
Yeah, even the scenes where you're supposed to feel bad for Michael Keaton and Sasha Cale's Supergirl, where they're dying and they're going back and trying to change it. It kind of, because they're not in it enough, like the Sasha Cale Supergirl, you can tell they cut out more scenes because even they have stuff in trailers and other things. But you can tell they cut out stuff. And so when she is fighting Zod and getting killed over and over again, you don't feel anything because she has 3 scenes or something before that moment. Yeah. Like she has I think she has a really good scene where she's like, "Why did you save me when you realized it wasn't Kal-El?" Like that's a good scene. But beyond that, there's nothing really that makes you feel any connection to her. And so, yeah, I just feel like if they would have maybe focused a little more on her, and not given us as much scenes with Barry and Barry being
there was
dumb.
too much of that. That was probably my least favorite part of the movie was all the young Barry and older Barry interaction. And they pointed out in the movie that, man, the younger Barry is so annoying, but it's like,
oh, I'm annoying too.
It's like, even if you point it out, like it's still annoying. Like, I get what they're doing. Like they're trying to be like meta about it. Like, hey, we know he's annoying. Haha, isn't it funny? It's like, no, he's just still annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there was just way too much. That took way too much of the movie. I would have loved to have seen a lot more with Supergirl, a lot more character development there. I don't know the future with the actress, but I hope that they do something with her because I think she did a really good job, and I would love to see more of her as Supergirl.
You know, can you guys guess my favorite line between the two Barrys? Can you guys guess? And this isn't being serious. This is being more of a joke.
Oh.
So it's not your favorite.
Yeah, I'm being facetious. But yeah. So what do you think was the worst line between the two Barrys?
The Beeves one.
Okay, that is pretty bad. But no, I just like one more, a little bit more.
Oh, come on, Barbie, let's go party.
I hated
Was there a reference made earlier that was supposed to land? Because it just came out of nowhere.
I think they messed up or something. Because I didn't understand.
Right?
No, it's just because Warner Brothers has Barbie movie coming out,
bro.
In the summer, going up against Oppenheimer, and they needed a reference.
Barbie, let's go party.
And they thought this movie was going to be amazing, so they're like, "Oh, reference Barbie."
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was I felt embarrassed for them. Listening, I was like, "That's a line they actually finalized. That's embarrassing." What a joke!
It was bad.
Who's laughing at that? No one, because there's no call. It's not a callback to something. It wasn't. There's no intellect.
Maybe they just cut it.
There's no intellect. Like it's so stupid.
Like if their little plush monkey thing was a Barbie,
sure,
then maybe.
Sure.
But even then,
yeah, this is just becoming. Why the Flash movies?
It's good. No, but
that's
it is because there's really no redeeming factor. And here's
no. I think we saw the one redeeming factor.
Yes, and again, I will say there's those kind of aspects. But here's what drives me crazy. And when I left this movie, I was
angry.
I was mad.
Well, we knew that's how it was going to go.
I was mad, but here,
no matter what the movie was, you were going to come out bad.
I don't think so, because I think there was a way. There was a way to make this, I guess, a reset, and also make it open to other things.
Yeah, but
and they cut all that out.
Yeah, of course.
Because when James Gunn took over. But here's the thing that irritated me the most. I was at a certain level of like annoyed. I was like, more disappointed. Like I kind of knew this was going to happen. But when I saw the post-credit scene, I got really annoyed because here's
What?
Here is what happened when Zack Snyder was the head of DC and doing his vision is he really had kind of his fingerprints on the pulse of what DC fans love about their characters. And what we love about our superheroes is the epicness of them. Like, Zack Snyder understands this whole aspect of you got to make every shot. Like he talks about, he uses this as with Superman. He says it's cape porn, where he's like the cape.
I don't like that.
I'm sorry,
we'll
but that's
redact
his
that.
term.
Redact.
But the cape, he's like he is meticulous about how the cape flaps in the wind. If you watch Man of Steel, every moment when that cape is flapping, it's supposed to look epic. He does it with Batman. He understands you make superheroes look epic, so they're awe-inspiring. And what James Gunn has done, there's a perfect example. Zack Snyder made Aquaman. Aquaman's always been a joke. Oh, he talks to fish, whatever. Zack Snyder made Aquaman epic. Like when he dropped the first image of Jason Momoa's Aquaman with the tattoos, with the trident, and it says Unite the Seven, people freaked out. Like they didn't know how they were going to make Aquaman a viable superhero. And they made him look like a bad A, epic, the king of the sea, like awesome. And what James Gunn has done, as soon as he came in with Peacemaker, he made Aquaman the butt of all the jokes. If you watch Peacemaker, the whole show is like constantly talking about how Superman has a poop fetish, how Jason Momoa's Aquaman does things to fish. Like everyone's joking about those kind of things.
I like this.
And there's jokes about that. And then this final scene they do is Jason Momoa's Aquaman is a drunk idiot who's just like the typical, again, Marvel superhero that's kind of just like, oh, I'm goofy. And it took all the epicness that one director had, this vision of these heroes that were going to be mythological Greek mythology, like our mythology heroes that we could watch, and now they're just jokes. And that's what drove me nuts. And they did it with the Flash in this, where he's just goofy and dumb. Yeah. And they do it with Ben Affleck in the stupid scene they did in the Justice League, where he's got the lasso of truth on him and he starts saying these dumb things that he's thinking. And it takes any epicness that these characters have, and it just makes them a joke.
Yeah,
and
up until that point, Ben Affleck was good.
Yes.
And then it was like, oh, no, this is...
You did this joke in
a joke we've seen 4 times already.
Yes. And so to me, that's what made me angry. Because I'm like, I know what we had with Zack Snyder, epic heroes, and what they've been reduced to is just goofy guys that do funny things.
Goofy guys.
Now, I will say this. I will say that in comic books and superheroes, they do have humor.
Yes.
So there is that. But where they went wrong is they're using the same characters in the same story, and that's where they messed up.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even included him. He shouldn't have been included. Honestly, if they're going to do that to Aquaman, they should have just been done with him. He should be gone.
Well, and how does that set up Aquaman too?
What you're doing, well, right.
That movie's coming out, and you're
that's
supposed
a
to
good
get you
point.
excited for Aquaman 2. And you're like, this guy's a bumbling idiot. Like, let me give you a perfect example.
Streaming.
Let me give you a perfect example. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, Jason Momoa drinks. But how epic it is that he's drinking that whiskey on the dock and the waves are flowing and he just drops the bottle and he dives in, as opposed to this guy in a puddle doing bubbles. Like, it's just there's a clear
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say kudos to them for giving, kind of showing the reality of drunkenness. That's right. Yeah. I respect them for that.
Yeah. I agree with everything you're saying. Like,
for sure.
Especially the jokes just didn't land. I do think what they did do well, which I think it's a complete missed opportunity to not lean into it more. And it's the story with his mom. Like, that should be the central focus of this story is Barry has the ability to go back in time and save his mom. And that's what he wants to do. And they didn't lean into it enough. Mm-hmm. Like, I enjoyed that
scene. They had a good scene at the end,
right,
in the grocery store.
Yeah,
that was very, very good.
They were setting it up
very good.
Like him even standing outside his house and remembering that was a good setup. Yeah. The stuff with his dad was good.
Yeah.
But that's the tragic thing about Barry Allen, right? Is that he should be able to save his mom, but he can't, right? And they completely undermine it because he doesn't learn his lesson in the end. He goes back
Yes.
and changes
That's what
one
I was
thing.
gonna bring up.
It's like,
Oh
you
my
didn't learn your
gosh.
lesson.
Yeah.
Also, you have the perfect opportunity to play off of Batman, both Batman, the fact that they couldn't save their parents. They have one line in there where I think it's Michael Keaton's like, I'm trying to save my parents every day. You actually saved them. And so there's like this really good emotional story at the core of this movie that completely gets ignored.
It super got undermined. You're 100% right. And I almost got in a fight with Brie about it. Seriously. On the drive back, I was getting
So
heated.
Flash is ruining. He went back in
he's
time and
ruining
ruined
marriage.
You know, put that on the thumbnail. Flash ruins
my
marriages. Yeah. Because I really was like, Bree, the whole point of this is for him to learn that fate
mess.
or whatever you want to call it, you can't mess with it. You're not supposed to, because no matter what you do, it ends someone else's life, or it messes up something down the road or whatever. That was the whole point of the movie. We kept seeing scenes of this. He kept doing it over and
Right.
over and over. And then he changed it.
It-
It was
it
just like,
made him-
bro. Oh,
Yeah.
because it was a little thing.
It made him the villain. Like him trying to change things literally turned him into the villain of the movie. And then he's like, no, we can't do that. And then at the end, he still does the thing
Couldn't
he's not
believe it.
supposed
I
to
mean,
do.
he
Couldn't believe it.
and it's literally the same thing. He literally puts the can somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
He
puts,
puts the can in the cart, puts it somewhere else, puts the can higher somewhere else. It's the same action.
And he ends up becoming the villain because he brings George Clooney back as Batman.
That's-
That's the worst thing about
Man.
that's the highest crime.
That's the highest crime.
Yes.
Not just your divorce, but the fact that George Clooney's
George
back.
Clooney coming back, highest crime for sure. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And
Right.
Brie was like, "Oh, it's just not as big of a deal." And I was like, "But that's the whole point of everything."
Yeah.
Right. He
It's the
can't do
whole
that.
thing. Because if you can do that, then what can you do?
Can I
Right.
give you a loophole? Can I say like my interpretation of it? No, I
You're
agree
gonna
with you
end our
guys.
marriage.
I agree with
Me
you
and
guys, but I do think the difference is what I think the movie was trying to say was the mom died so much earlier, and so that gives so many years of there to be change, whereas he doesn't get the camera footage until the moment Bruce Wayne gives it to him that with his new technology he could fix that camera. So nothing would have changed throughout that whole time.
But it did change because George Clooney came
Well,
back.
I know, but that,
so the
I think
movie's telling you
that's what they're trying to sell you. But the fact is,
they don't know what their message is.
That
Right.
can originally went to someone else that probably saved billions of people's
That's
lives.
That's exactly right.
It just
And
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
it's like once you affect something, their point was there's an infinite amount of variables that happen, even moving something slightly. And it's like,
Yeah.
guys, I understand what they framed it up as. I understand that. Oh,
Yeah.
Batman's different. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And-
it. Okay,
and we
cool.
could
His
have
dad's
had-
cool. But it's like, no, that's not the logic. The logic is anything else could change.
And we could have had the travesty of this all is that we could have had Ray Fisher Cyborg. Originally, he was going to be in the Flash movie, and it was going to be more like their movie together.
Yep.
And it was going to be
Would've been sick.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne,
Yeah.
as Batman.
That would have been
More
cool.
like Flashpoint because that's what
And-
happens in
Yeah,
Marvel.
I
Martha,
wish,
and Martha
I wish.
Wayne as the Joker, and the fact that he goes back to see that Bruce Wayne was the one that got killed, which turned Martha into the Joker,
Yeah.
and Thomas Wayne into Batman, and have that scene where he brings a letter back from his dad
Yeah.
to Bruce. That's what should have been done, and we got this kind of just mess of a movie with a
I think that's my main problem with the movie is the comic did it better and the animated movie did it better.
Yeah.
Like if you want to see a good Flash movie, go watch the animated Flashpoint movie because it's way more emotional. It's way more tight in the story, and it just is so much more satisfying with like what you're saying with the Batman and Bruce Wayne, that closure that he gets, and it just makes way more sense.
It makes-
this movie is just too, I think, convoluted.
it makes Flash the hero,
Yeah.
right? Because of what he learns and what he does. This one, like you guys are saying, makes him more of the villain because he doesn't learn his lesson, right? And then he's like, it's basically all his fault. Bruce Wayne told you, Ben Affleck told you not to do it. You did it anyways. You don't learn your lesson. It kind of flips the whole aspect of what the Flashpoint is about, where he's like what he learns, and then he has that emotional moment. And in this one, it's kind of like, oh, what did I do? I kind of screwed it up. I have the emotional moment with my dad.
Yeah.
I saved him, but it's just
They definitely dumb it down. It's like super dumbed down. And that's the thing that bugs me the most. And when you dumb it down this much, you lose all emotional connection and depth of the story. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I would have going back to that scene with the security camera. Like, they could have still had that conclusion, but have it where at the very last minute, it finally finishes rendering, and they finally see that, oh, he does look up, instead of him changing stuff. Like, they still
Right.
could have had that.
Right. It's more rewarding him for doing the right thing. Of
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
I'm going to stick to my values and what I've
Exactly.
learned,
Yeah.
and we're rewarding that story.
No matter how hard it is,
Yeah.
because he has the power, right?
Right. Because that's the
It's
whole
taking
point.
The whole
Yeah.
point of it is
Yeah.
having that self control. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say lastly,
Go ahead.
I wouldn't have had the whole idea of this movie was it's going to reset the universe. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
fine. Let's have a full reset.
I would have rather had
It doesn't
that.
really do that.
It doesn't.
Like, it doesn't
weird.
really set up the DCU. It doesn't really set up James Gunn's, aside from George Clooney at the end.
mean-
but it still has all these other characters in there. It's not a full,
Yeah.
because they still have wiggle room. They could just still be like, oh no, that was just a joke
he
at
just
the
said
end.
it. He just said that today.
Well,
James
yeah,
Gunn just said
ridiculous.
he liked someone's tweet that said, "How do we know that is the real universe? Maybe that's a different one and not going to be in James Gunn." And he retweeted it saying it's
It's a
technically not his universe.
possibility. Yeah, that's
He's also
stupid.
said the same thing about Blue Beetle. He said Blue Beetle is the first character in our universe, but it's not the first movie in our universe. So he's doing juggling acts depending on if the movie does good. If The Flash did amazing, he would be like, oh yeah, this is totally, but because it's not doing good, now he's like, hedging his bets. It's ridiculous.
How much did it make this?
Less than Black Adam.
Ooh,
Bad. It's bad. It's bad.
It was like 50 million on
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, man.
It was predictions were at 90
I thought it
a
was
few months ago,
67
and
or
it
something
dropped
like
down to 60, and I think
Yeah.
it ended up being 50, 61 or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, it made
difference.
less
I
than
bet the
Black
Rock's
Adam.
having a big laugh.
Yeah.
Cackling while he's lighting the
Sitting on his billions of dollars.
yeah. So it's baffling to me. There was an article that came out. Boris Kitt, Hollywood Reporter, put out an article saying that they changed the ending 3 times depending on who came in. And there's shots of this, you can see where people leaked images. But originally, when Abdi and DeLuca came on, their idea was to do the Snyderverse one more time. So they were going to open all possibilities. So at the end of the movie, at the courthouse, you were going to have Clark Kent, Henry Cavill, who had actually filmed the scene as a reporter. Gal Gadot was there. Sasha Cale, so Clark Kent was actually going to meet Supergirl. And then Michael Keaton was going to be there. And so the scene was going to set up Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman 3, Henry Cavill's Man of Steel 2, the potential of doing a Supergirl movie, and the Michael Keaton Batman Beyond movie that was kind of in the works. And when James Gunn came out, the other thing too is there was going to be a scene shot where Ben Affleck's Batman he reaches out to Flash, and the same way he did in BVS, Flash reached out to him in BVS, but Ben Affleck is doing that to Flash, and he's in the Nightmare timeline. So that was going to open up the fact that Ben Affleck's in the Zack Snyder universe. This is all going around different things. And when James Gunn came over, he axed Wonder Woman 3, got rid of Gal Gadot, got rid of Henry Cavill, got rid of Sasha Cale stuff, got rid of the Michael Keaton stuff, and then just decided to bring George Clooney. And the article says,
this guy's a genius.
the article says that
Crazy.
the article says that they brought it up as a joke. Oh, we should have George Clooney. And he was like, yeah. And so they called his agent, and they're like, they got it figured out. They filmed it in one day, and did all these issues. It's like
The Ocean's
insane
11
to
look,
me.
dude. I cannot get that out of my
Insane.
mind. It's the same
Especially as
ridiculous.
a final, we talked about this in non-spoilers, but as the final Batman role for Ben Affleck, he had absolutely no send off or anything.
Same with Gal Gadot.
Same with Gal Gadot.
It's sad
there was
too.
just nothing. It turned into a stupid joke with everybody's least favorite Batman.
Yeah.
Even George Clooney
Hates his
admits it.
Batman.
He apologizes all the time
Yeah.
for it. It's
Well, it doesn't make sense either, because that George Clooney in that movie, it's supposed to be Michael Keaton's Batman. They're not a different universe.
That's hilarious.
And the
It's
other
the
thing-
same
I
Batman,
didn't
so
know
it
that.
doesn't make sense in
That's
The
funny.
other
It's
thing, and this
stupid.
is kind of what you're saying, Mick, is
Anyway.
these characters are, whether you like it or not, there are people that love these characters. Whether
They
you like
owe
or
it
not,
to you.
These no, but I'm saying those movies made money. BVS made almost $1 billion. Wonder Woman made almost $1 billion. Aquaman made
didn't it make
past $1 billion. No, Wonder Woman made 800 and something.
Oh, Aquaman was the first.
Aquaman made over $1 billion.
Yeah.
These characters are characters that people love, and the fact that you're just like, let's get rid of Gal Gadot. People love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Like,
Yeah,
to
that
me,
makes
that's
no sense.
insane
That
to
makes
me
no
to bring in George Clooney, who everyone hates, and then cut out everyone else
Everyone
because you're like,
specifically hates
we
George
don't
Clooney.
want to. His Batman.
Ocean's
But
11.
to be
Yeah.
able to be like, why would you do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And these are the things that are on James Gunn. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that there's box office failures in these things is partly because he announced his slate that undercut all these
Right,
movies.
these movies don't matter.
And then his decisions to get rid of beloved characters just because he could.
Yeah.
They had those scenes filmed, and to be like, let's get rid of Henry Cavill, and then you keep him in there with a terrible CGI. Like,
That was,
it was dumb.
yeah. What was the point of
Just
that?
to make a point that, I don't want it to infringe on the Superman movie that I'm going to make.
Yeah.
Come on. And that's why Superman Legacy is going to bomb, because a lot of people aren't going to watch it because, hey, a lot of Henry Cavill fans out there like me.
I love Henry Cavill. He's my man.
It's mind boggling.
Yeah, when you shake it up in it. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get Henry Cavill as Superman, but we got Nicolas
Nick
Cage.
Cage. That was the only cameo that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Because
way
of the history
way
of it.
happened was just
Sure.
like not earned at all. It was just like,
Sure.
let's show you we'll show you Christopher Reeves in terrible CGI.
I was feeling bad already, and when I saw it, it kind of put me in a bad mood. I think in general, just
But-
like this is what they emphasize.
yeah, but the Nick Cage one
Not
was
Henry
cool
Cavill. Like, are you kidding me?
because of the history. That's
But
it.
a lot of people don't know that history.
Right, no
like,
one
unless you're a nerd and know that he was actually cast as Superman,
Tim Burton
and Tim Burton was going to do it. And like, if you don't know that, you're like,
was Nick Cage.
and
Is that
also the
Nick
CG.
Cage?
You also are that, and he fought
Hair
the
looks
spider
good,
because that's what the movie was about. He's going to attack a spider. But I don't know why they didn't have. I didn't see. What's the other guy?
Brandon Routh.
Brandon Routh. Like, there wasn't a shot of him, right?
No.
But because he's technically still the Reeves Superman, right? In Returns, he's technically
yeah.
he's supposed to be Reeves.
Right.
So I get that. But the other thing too, those cameos were stupid. They didn't look good.
Right.
When something doesn't look good,
CGI. Just
you're just going to be
cutscene.
like, and then they didn't
I
do
mean,
anything. They just stood there and they're like
I mean,
looking.
in the grand scheme of everything, it wasn't that bad in my opinion because they had like special effects, like they're almost like they're ghosts, kind of.
yeah.
It wasn't nearly as bad or atrocious as like Clayman running around
Yeah.
and
But I would've-
1990s models.
I
like,
would have
that was
much
really
rather
bad.
had like film scenes from the movies that you're seeing, like when the Flash is running,
Yeah.
he's seeing like when Superman saves Lois from the car, or like when he's attacking Zod, seeing Henry Cavill snap Zod's neck. That kind of stuff, the actual scenes, but seeing it from different perspectives. They had this idea in The Force Awakens where Rey was going to go in and have a Force vision where she was going to see Luke and Vader fighting from a different perspective when they're fighting in Cloud City, and he cuts his hand. Luke, I'm your father, like
Yeah.
all that thing. That's a cool idea.
Spoilers.
You could have done that with CGI from a farther distance and seeing scenes that you already know from a different perspective that would have looked much better and would have fit. They even had in Across the Spider-Verse, they had like the Uncle Ben dying scene and stuff like that. That kind of worked better than this little, like, didn't look real CGI, kind of just, let's just throw Easter eggs there. It was just weird to me when you have so many more options that would have worked better.
I think that was another problem with the film. The fact that Across the Spider-Verse just came out and they did the multiverse stuff way better.
Oh, 100%.
It was just so hard not to like keep comparing it to something that just came out that was
Yeah.
way better.
One's one's,
It
one's
makes it hard,
drawn,
too.
one's
Yeah.
live action. But I will say when you have like the different shots from the different times, like if you got footage from Reeves,
Christopher Reeves.
stuff, you know how low resolution that is. It's like I understand the difficulties that they would face
Yeah.
when trying to make it look cohesive, I guess. just
They're
because.
like, let's just make it all look terrible.
I mean, you could have done that. That's the funny thing is you could have just dropped the res of everything and made it stylistically like grainy or something
And
like
then the
that.
director would be like, it's because he's in the Speed Force. He can't really focus on things.
you put a
quite
filter
discern
of
it.
dust on it or smoke.
Or just do kind of what
Smoke filter.
Kind of what Across the Spider-Verse does is each place has its own look. So like
Matt Reeves.
Christopher Reeve's place just looks like it's from the late 70s. You know, just that type of thing. Or
It's like the Joker, you know,
it's
the Joker
more-
looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty shocking though when it's like not drawn, a drawn universe. Like,
Or what
it can be
about
pretty shocking?
what about
Yeah.
this?
It
Here's
was
a
shocking.
crazy idea. He's running through, and you're like, you see the face of Superman, and then it changes as he's running. You can do this digitally, but it changes. It goes from Henry Cavill's face to then Matt Reeves to then Nick Cage. Like,
Chris Reeves.
sorry, Matt Reeves is just thrown in there. You know
Matt
what I'm
Reeves is
saying?
the new Superman.
I know, I'm having a
There's
hard
ways
time.
to do it where you can do that kind of stuff. They could
And
do
then
it with the
Michael B. They
Batman's
make
too.
change to Michael B. Jordan's face. Yeah.
There's certain like
And then
you
Michael
can
Jordan's
do
face.
random stuff like that where it's just like, or Batman, like the Batman swinging and then it swings and then you're just seeing, you're not really seeing their face, but you're seeing the iconic
I don't know. Yeah,
suits.
I think
where
that,
it's like,
I think that would have been enough. I think silhouettes and iconography.
Yes.
is
Yeah.
enough.
and everyone knows, oh, that's the Clooney.
I mean,
that's
it was sick seeing the old school Batmobile. That was super nostalgic for me
Yeah,
because I
but
remember having a little toy of it.
They
But
didn't
then
even
they
do
didn't
use
it.
it.
Yeah.
I know.
That's
I'm
crazy.
just saying
Because
they had to go.
He's the
Where they had to go?
Batwing, which is the worst thing.
They had to go to Russia.
I
Where
thought
they had to go?
I thought they were going to use the 89 Batmobile because they weren't using Ben Affleck's Batmobile. So I was like, oh, maybe they didn't want competing Batmobiles. So at least we'll get one Batmobile.
Yeah,
but
nothing.
nope.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have filmed a scene with it, but it got cut. Thanks, James Gunn.
Just
you
one
jerk.
Barry sleeping in it the whole time.
Yeah, I just, yeah. I think I just have a feeling that there's just like a bit of pride tied to this movie. I think not wanting to go with old regime's plans.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot of pride and being like, I know what's best. I know what's better. Even
I'll
though,
show you how it's done.
Yeah, I think that's at its core the big problem. And you can tell that James Gunn is super prideful and thinks he's always right 100% of the time. So I'm sure that's what attracted DC to them is confidence. I bet.
This guy's confident. He's wrong all the time.
Confidence,
well,
well, he
there's
doesn't have
rumors.
accolades. He doesn't have views.
There's-
He doesn't have like.
Oh no! What are you about
There's
to say?
some articles that say that they offer the job to multiple people and no one wanted
Your
it.
tinfoil hat on,
And
let's go.
James Gunn was kind of there. James Gunn and Peter Safran was kind of like, hey, do you guys want to do this? And they were like, yes. So that they'd reached out to other people and no one wanted to touch DC because of the dynamic of, is it Snyderverse? Is it this whole concept? And James Gunn was like, oh, I'll do it.
Yeah.
He's never been the head of a studio. Like, this is, to give him this job is kind of crazy. And so they're saying that's the reason because no one else wanted it.
Sure.
So, and it goes in line with him, kind of his hubris and pride being like, oh, I can totally do
hubris.
this.
That's a good.
And the
that's a good
thing
word for it,
is,
yeah.
you're kind of seeing these decisions being made to fit with what he wants, to fit with his friends. Like the Peacemaker, that's still, they're doing season 2. How does that fit with the reboot? Because the Peacemaker was in the universe with all this other stuff, but apparently
Suicide
that's
Squad.
so they should have just canceled everything, redone it,
Yeah,
done his own thing.
it's a mess. It's a mess.
But
An
yeah,
absolute mess.
do you guys want to talk about anything else? Like, we're done
I
with
think
the
we're
Flash,
good on
right?
Flash. We've ripped
Yeah, we're
it
good.
to shreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more I could say.
DC's.
DC's trash.
Matt Reeves, I think.
That's the only
thing I'm looking
thing.
forward
That's the only
to.
good thing.
Matt Reeves.
Aquaman's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
The director already said the hardest thing is making a movie under 3 separate regimes. Because each one, he's had to change his movie like 4
That'd be
different
so
times.
terrible.
And Jason Momoa is already talking about how he wants to be Lobo and not the
Yeah.
character anymore. So
Is it
you
still
know.
James
Yeah,
Wan.
they're getting rid of him.
director?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways, let us know what you thought of the Flash.
Highly-
if you
highly
watched
recommend.
it. If you, hey, if you disagree with us, if you're one of the people
Yeah.
that think this is one of the greatest movies ever, let us know why you think that. And we'll be nice about it. But yeah, we want to know what
There's
you.
plenty of
what
people
you,
that like this movie.
Yeah.
Apparently, that was crazy. Their promotions for this movie were, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, best movie ever.
Tom Cruise said it.
Tom Cruise.
So we're going to move on to yeah.
Homie got paid
Yeah.
for sure.
So there's some trailers that kind of dropped. Let's just go with the first one. Kraven the Hunter, which is done by Sony in the Spider-Man universe. I'll be honest with you. I don't know much about Craven besides what I've seen from the Spider-Man cartoons from the 90s. So
That's the best version.
Yeah,
of Kraven
true.
the Hunter.
the trailer dropped. It comes out in October. It seems like it's going to be rated R because
Yeah.
it's like John Wick
Boring.
style killing,
Yeah.
like crazy bear trap.
Crazy bear traps.
Bear traps killing like with a guy.
He just throws bear traps at
He
people.
does. He got him. Anyways, check
He's
the
also
trailer out.
ripping into their faces. Like,
I'll also say this: the thing that got me most excited about this is I'm a sucker for Russell Crowe, and the fact that he's in this movie.
are you?
I'm like, I'm good. I love my boy,
that was weird.
my boy Russell, the gladiator himself. What do you guys
Zeus
think of the trailer?
himself.
Oh, stop it.
Well, you're a big fan of his.
Yeah, not a
Let's
fan of
be
that.
consistent.
What do you guys think? I mean, let's go with Mick because Mick, you're a big Spider-Man fan. You probably know more about Craven than I do. But what do you think of this trailer? Are you excited for it?
Beginning of the when the trailer started, it gave me like the vibes of like bad Sony Spider-Man movies in terms of like
Those don't exist.
the Morbius stuff, the Venom stuff that we've been getting. And then when it was going more like I think they're really laying into the R aspect of it. I think that might be the only saving grace of the movie. And it looks like they're changing a little bit of what Craven is like, because in the comics he's just a guy. Like he doesn't have any
He's just a hunter.
radioactive
Lion
lion
blood.
blood or anything. Like there's
that
none
drop
of that.
of blood, dude.
Yeah.
Bink. Whoa.
So that's gonna be interesting how they play with that. Maybe I don't know if I really don't know what they're doing with the Venom universe and now this and Morbius. Like I don't really know.
Don't even try. Don't even try to comprehend it.
That's probably best. Yeah.
And what was up with the spiders? Like, did the spiders bite the lion, and then the lion bled into him, and so now he's like
Now
having that
he has
connection
to
with
bite
spiders.
people.
No, I think they're
With
just
the-
setting up the scene where he's like, I hate spiders.
But yeah, I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson. I liked pretty much everything he's been in.
Quicksilver.
So, yeah.
R.I.P.
Yep.
R.I.P.
So that'll be interesting to see his take on stuff and.
And the rhino looked cool at the end there. That little
Oh, yeah, I
tease of the
forgot
rhino.
about
Yeah, again, that's different than the comics,
Giamatti?
but it's
Yeah, it's not a metal suit.
a lot of people were thinking this was in the Andrew Garfield universe, but now that this came out, they're like changing their tune. They're saying no now.
I hope Garfield
That's what
shows
the
up.
people are saying.
The cat. Corey, what did you think of the trailer?
Mid. It's just gonna be a mid. Nothing.
So
nothing
Venom,
crazy.
Venom, Morbius, Bane.
Yeah. That's what
right.
that's what I think.
So
But
what
I
we've
also
been-
don't. I also don't know about the story of
Yeah.
Craven. So I'm ready to be impressed and surprised.
Choop, what do you think?
I think it looked all right. If anything, it's going to be a fun action movie, probably. But yeah, same thing. I was like, was that how Craven, like, I thought he took potions to like make himself powerful or something like that.
Steroids.
But, Venom from Batman.
Yeah, but it's interesting because in Marvel Spider-Man 2, the PS5 game, Craven's in that also. And we also got the Miles Morales movie this year. So it will have a lot of comparisons with those two characters in the video game. I just have a feeling that he's going to be better in the video game.
Yeah, but you love the video
As
game.
per most
So I think
things.
that's biased.
But even like,
sure.
how can I be biased towards the same character?
You can. You're biased
A
towards
different version.
over a different
Video game.
version.
Yeah,
like I
but-
am for Ben Affleck.
Yeah, but
over
I'm
George
also basing it off of what I've seen in the. I mean, we've gotten a trailer for each, so it's trailer for each,
Fair.
so it's even. It's
Fair
fair.
and balanced.
Yep, as it should
What
be.
about you,
We'll
John?
I actually thought it gave me Logan vibes a little bit. Just kind of how some of the scenes were shot and like the color scheme and kind of the darker aspect of it. Like I said, I was intrigued with the Russell Crowe aspect of it. And I did really like his, again, I don't know anything about this character. I did like the whole aspect of, there's two brothers there. He's like, you sent my mom off to die. And he's like, she was weak. And this whole aspect. And then
By the way,
brother gets,
that brother is the chameleon in the comics.
there you go.
Chameleonaire.
And so I like that. That's what I was intrigued more about. Not so much the action, like the gore and stuff, because you see that in John Wick or any other movies, but that more like, how are you going to make me connect with this character? Yeah. And I will say, they keep trying to make like these villains like heroes, like they did it with Morbius, where he's not the villain. This one seems more like they're actually making him a bad guy.
I mean, that's different with Morbius, though. Morbius really isn't a villain,
Right.
I would say, I guess,
but they did it with Venom.
Venom is a complicated. The best version of Venom is him as a villain.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
So I just think this one actually seems like they might be willing to, because in the other ones they didn't want to go rated R as much, and like you can't kill people. This one seems more like they're going to be okay with making him.
If they're going to make a villain movie, make a villain movie. Like,
exactly.
Just go for it.
Yeah, make you hate him. So that's why I'm intrigued about seeing that.
Yeah.
And so I was a little more out of superhero movies that I wasn't sure that I didn't know were coming out. This one seems more like I might go watch that in theaters more than any other one.
Wish I had it on my top 10.
Yeah. Let's go on to the next thing. We got our first look at Avatar: The Last Airbender, Netflix live action series that comes out 2024,
starring Matt Reeves.
Yeah, Matt Reeves is in it. But we did get like a little, like some pictures of the main characters of Aang and Zuko and other people, and we did get a little teaser just saying what date was coming out. The effects look kind of cool with the different like elements and stuff. But what did you guys think? People hated the look because it reminded them of M. Night Shyamalan's version. That's what I was seeing a lot on the interwebs.
Like the costuming, or
he's a bald kid with an arrow,
and they're like, it looks.
How are you supposed to put that in live action?
I know, but it also has like little details in it, and they're like, that's what M. Night Shyamalan did with the tattoo. I mean, it's not supposed to be that. So.
I mean, it's going to be similar because it's the same character, but it's also, I think, different and better. I think it's closer to what the cartoon.
Yeah, and I thought they looked good.
I really didn't have any problem with it, and it's one photo. It's going to be really, if you're a normal person, you should look at that and be like, okay, it's one photo. I'll, judge that accordingly.
People,
but we're talking about the internet people, so yeah, I know it's going to be
internet people.
Explosion,
the worst.
Hatred.
Are we on the internet?
We are all internet people, and we are the worst. Corey, what do you think? Because you kind of have you hated it, didn't you? You're one of those people.
I mean, I'd probably put money on it being terrible. Like, I put $20 on it.
Netflix doesn't have a good track record of live action, cartoon to live action, but from a cartoon to live action.
Yeah, Death Note was
Death Note.
I love Death
Cowboy
Note.
Bebop.
Live action Death Note?
Is that the one with the book?
Yeah, but there's an anime.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mind that one.
Which one?
The Netflix one.
Ugh.
So,
where he writes and people die. That one.
Yeah.
Starring.
Hey guys, I'm a huge. If you guys can't tell, I'm like the biggest anime dude here. Sorry for embarrassing you guys.
What? You're just embarrassing yourself. It's fine, dude.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just joking. I mean, the thing is I talk about this all the time, and it's just very, 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 very difficult to somehow transfer over the emotion and the story beats and the relationships from animation to live action.
Yeah.
It's just super, super difficult. It's very rare for it to go well. And so I just have my doubts. Just track record wise, it's not in their favor. So
did you, but specifically, so ignoring whether they can pull it off, do you think the look was okay? Because that's what, like, to me, it's like one of those things where people were looking at things and be like, oh, they look stupid, and the cartoon looks better. But did you look at it and be like, oh, I don't like how they look? Or were you like, oh no, that seems pretty faithful to what just based on the look alone?
I'm kind of one. Yeah, I get it. I'm one of,
But just based on the look though. Like just when you look at it.
I'm one of the people who are in the camps of, I would think that they should make changes to make it fit better in real life stuff, because the character designs are meant for 2D, very vivid drawings in a very certain style. So when you do a 1-to-1 exact translation, it's just gonna look goofy. It's gonna look kind of cheesy, and it's gonna look like it doesn't fit. It's gonna look like they're wearing costumes of these characters, right? And so that's
like you're at Comic-Con.
Yeah, some cosplay, basically. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that's the problem. That's so. Yeah, I didn't think it looked super great. Yes, it was, pretty accurate, I guess. But I think that's a bad thing in my opinion. But
Okay.
I know there's people who are like, no, it needs to be exactly, perfectly, accurate. But I think that's where you get into a problem area. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I'm glad that it seems like they're going a little more accurate because they already tried the other way. And at least I wasn't really a fan of that movie or how the characters really looked.
But
Slow bending.
I will say though, I will say that looks aren't everything,
Yeah.
and that's not really one of the top factors for me, whether or not it's good or not.
Sure.
So I will say that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, what about you, Josh?
what
Did you
think?
enjoy
Based
the
on the
looks?
look. Based on the look.
Just the look
look
with your
only.
eyes.
I mean, it looks fine.
Look.
I think you're right. It's like, oh yeah, those are the looks like the characters,
Yeah.
and that's fine for me. I just, it's one of those weird things of like, do we need a live action version of everything?
We don't need a live action anything,
It's crazy.
Well, that's the thing. We
It's
don't.
crazy.
But
but we're getting it.
So go ahead.
no, that's fine.
I'll say one thing as far as costuming and stuff like that. If you're going to costume them to be very accurate to the cartoon, that means everything else has to make that outfit look like it fits in that world. So the set designs need to look more cartoony in that way.
Yeah.
Like you need to go one way or the other. So if you're going to go very accurate, you need to have the world make
Match
these
that.
costumes look believable. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think not based off the look, but casting.
That's not what I asked.
Well, shoot, he just broke the first rule.
The kid, I watched the Netflix event or whatever when they came out on stage, and the kid seemed like
Actually,
he like
bended
acted
some
like
air.
he acted like Aang. So I was like, oh, that seems like good casting. I think the guy looks like Zuko, or I mean Sokka. He looks like the brother.
Punchable face.
So you're like, yeah, that fits. And so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the story's like. The original creators left because
Yeah,
they
that's the
had
problem.
issues. That's the biggest issue I see. But it's one of those things that's like, the show's still there if I ever want to watch it again.
That's the thing. So I had interactions with people on the interwebs, obviously, but they were like,
no.
"This is gonna like ruin the show." It's like it's
Tarnish
not gonna
it.
ruin the show. The show's there.
I'm not even going to watch it again.
The show's there. It's not. It's not like I'm gonna be like, no, the show
When did
sucks.
when did it come out? Do you remember?
When does The Last Airbender come out?
Yeah, was it like
2007.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7 to 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Legend of Korra is the one that ruined the show. If you're gonna complain about anything,
Because
right?
it was the same media. Yeah.
Right? It's the same creators.
Ruined it.
Like that wasn't as good as the Last Airbender. So
Okay.
is that see?
So
That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying
I'm saying be patient, watch it. If you hate it, that's fine.
right? It can be separate. Yeah.
But you don't need to like hate something to the point where you're just building up hate for something. So when it first drops, you already are predestined to hate it.
we should
Stop.
clip
Stop.
this. Oh, okay.
Nope.
Stop.
Marvel's different.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm saying.
Stop that. I don't like what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying like they did it with Rings of
I
Power.
think what you said is really
where
good,
everyone's,
and I
like,
think we all
hating it.
should listen to what you just
Great
said.
advice.
Listen to me.
Very-
We should all listen to
Everyone here.
So hey, I went and watched The Flash.
Yeah, hey,
it's not like
kudos.
I'm.
That was good.
you
That was
know.
good.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, the other thing that came out from the Netflix one was One Piece. They're doing
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah,
live
One
action adaptation of the anime manga One Piece. I almost said one shot. you almost got me.
One shot.
So they had a little trailer with that, but that's going to be the same discussion. The costumes look accurate to the anime,
Yeah.
but those costumes are ridiculous, and it's a cartoon, so it's going to look goofy and cartoony in live action. So it's whether or not you like that and whether or not it's going to translate.
Yeah.
The sets look pretty accurate to the show, so like the ship looks exactly the same, which is kind of cool. And I think that when they did the thing last year at Netflix, they were showing them building the sets and stuff like that. So that comes out in August. But yeah, it's the same discussion of, do we need a live action version of this? I know the idea is there's a lot of people out there that don't watch animation.
Right.
So in order to reach a bigger audience, you have to make it live action so that they can tap into this story or whatever. So that's the reason why Disney is remaking every single one of their animated, which doesn't make sense for Disney, to be honest, because kids grew up watching that. That's fine. But yeah, that's the trend now. It's just, hey, we need a bigger audience. We're going to remake this cartoon into a live action, and whether or not that works, we'll find out. But I've maybe seen 1 episode or 2 episodes of One Piece. We were talking earlier, there's 1 billion of them. So
yeah, it's one of the longest running animes out there. So it's, I think one of the problems that I see is I'm not sure what story they're going to be telling, because honestly, like the beginning of One Piece is very slow. So I'm like, what are they going to do? Like wonder what they're going to, because you only get 2 hours or something like that. Piece. You only get one piece, and it's like you only get one chance. So I'm kind of like, I wonder what they're gonna do, like what story arc. If it's just gonna be the first arc, I don't know. So interesting. Hey, I hope it's great. I hope all these things are great. I hope they're super great, and they can just continue making them, and it improves on the original stuff. But doubtful. So yeah, we'll see.
I was gonna ask, do you want to say anything about, you watched Demon Slayer, right?
You got it right.
So
nice.
Do you want to say drop any?
Sure, for Ethan out there and Jason. Yeah. Demon Slayer is an anime that I think it's on season 3, I think, and so it's a very good, very beautiful animated anime, and it had a 51-minute finale for its 3rd season, and some of the most beautiful animation I've seen in a long time. And a lot of Twitter's been going crazy on some key scenes on that episode, and it's just beautiful. And so a lot of emotion. I think that's the biggest reason why I like anime, is because it can evoke such strong emotions out of me because of the stories that they tell. And it was just a really great finale. So if you're into sword fighting and defeating
demons,
defeating the demons and stuff, and protecting people,
which we all are. Yeah, we're pretty big on that. Yeah. We slay demons all the time.
That's right. So it's cool. It's really good. But I watched it with Ethan and Jason. They came over, and it was fun watching them. Jason was like, "That's gas. That's gas. Man. That episode, that's gas." Like, indeed, it was gas.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was good. That was fun. That was this week. Yeah.
The last thing that I was going to mention was Rebel Moon. We kind of got our first poster.
Yo, hand-planted wheat.
That's
hello.
That's what I'm talking
good,
about.
Dude.
Hey,
it looked good.
Hey, that's the difference between Zack Snyder and what we're getting now with DC is things look good. It's about putting the work in to make things look good, not just like, it looks all right. Anyways, the poster, I was happy with the poster because it wasn't just a bunch of floating heads like the typical. Right. So it was like a poster that actually looked like someone put it together with some thought instead of just like, copy and paste on it. There we go.
It wasn't anything like insane, but it was better than that.
But it was better than that.
Not get carried away.
It was like a 7. It was like
we got like a little like 2.5 minute or 3 minute kind of just like behind the scenes look with kind of a shot at the end of some ships landing. I just think this movie is going to be pretty legit. And whether it doesn't land with a story, the one thing that you know you're going to get with Zack Snyder, whether you like the movie or not, is it's going to look epic. And I just think the thing that Zack Snyder has is he's such a visual director, and he knows what he wants. He will, before he even shoots any scene from a movie, he will draw out each scene in his notebook so that he knows what he's doing. It's like he's an artist. And so that's what you're going to get when you watch his movies. So I'm excited for him to make his own thing. Netflix is kind of like giving him free reign to do what he wants. So that might be a little crazy, but I'm excited to see what he does. And I thought the little trailer that they dropped was pretty sweet. What'd you guys think? If any of you guys watched it?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, it looks.
I didn't watch it out of principle. I'm just kidding. I sent it to you. I was the first one to send it to you. I probably hadn't even seen it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I love behind the scenes stuff. So just seeing, I mean, it's your run of the mill, like this is the craziest movie I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
I had to train so much for this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all the stuff looks cool. Hand planted wheat, like you said.
That's right.
But yeah, it looks cool. I want to see a trailer.
Yeah. I want to know what story's about.
Well, have you seen A New Hope?
Yikes.
Do you know when we're gonna get a trailer?
No, one guy that works with Zack Snyder said if I were a betting man, he's like, I'd probably drop with Oppenheimer.
When is it coming out?
That would make sense.
December 22nd.
Oh, right, 22nd. Yeah. Yeah, he needs to drop it sometime.
So I'm thinking that it might,
Relatively soon.
even with Oppenheimer in theaters, we know he has a relationship with Nolan, so that might be something. But then it might just be around that time. But I think it looks really cool. I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most is kind of just seeing what crazy stuff he's come up with. Cause I think he's very, visual and all the stuff he does. If you watch Man of Steel, the Krypton scene at the beginning is just kind of really cool. Just how that's done, that technology. I think it's going to look similar to that. They have said it's the opening Krypton scene on steroids is what he's.
The cool thing about that too is like that feels like a lived in real world to them. And so if we get a lot of that in Rebel Moon, that's going to be really cool.
And I think the cast is good too. So the thing that Zack Snyder's doing though is he's writing it, directing it, and he's doing the cinematography. So he's kind of handling all aspects of it. So
no checks and balances.
Scary.
So we'll see.
Scary.
He's judge, jury, and executioner is what you're saying.
I mean, hey,
Yikes.
go all out and then let people be the judge. But
Has he done that on any of his other
We
movies?
shall.
I think first time he did that was Army of the Dead, was he did cinematography stuff. Now, but here's the thing: in Army of the Dead, they did do something that was kind of really cool, where they did the what is that called? The ghost lens or something.
Oh, yeah.
Where it would like people was blurry in the background, but he made a certain camera that would do that in a different way, and it looks really cool how they did some stuff like that. The other thing they did too in that was they completely took out a character that had been canceled, and they put in a brand new character, and there was some moments where you could tell, but for the most part, it was pretty seamless. So
Forgot about
the fact that he's able to do that kind of stuff, I just think says a lot about kind of how he films his stuff and how he takes his shots and all that kind of stuff.
Anthony
So I'm looking
Hopkins
forward
better watch his mouth. He's going to get CGI.
He's a robot.
Movie.
He's a robot though. So.
CGI'd out of there.
But yeah, anyways, that's all I had.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Anything else? We're good.
We good.
Are we good for this week? Yeah, we good. Let us know again what you thought about anything that we covered here. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe and like. Corey does a great job with the videos there. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. I'm starting to run the TikTok again. So if you're interested in the TikTok,
right, we're back.
there it is. We got more subscribers when I stopped doing it. So maybe I'll just have to do that periodically. But yeah, let us know what you thought of The Flash. Let us know what you thought of Rebel Moon, what you think of the trailer. And we will be back next week. I don't know what we have next week, but it'll be something. I think Secret Invasion drops.
Yeah.
So some of us might watch that. We don't know. We'll see. Ahsoka comes out in August. So we got some things coming up, but we'll be back next week with more Nerd Age Podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out.
See you.
Bye.